The international community has been making initial comments regarding Israel's Operation Defensive Pillar, which aims to stem the flow of 1,000 rockets fired from Gaza into southern Israel thus far this year. British Foreign Secretary William Hague called on both sides to show restraint, but left no doubt as to where the blame for the current conflict lies.
I utterly condemn rocket attacks from Gaza into southern Israel by Hamas and other armed groups. This creates an intolerable situation for Israeli civilians in southern Israel who have the right to live without fear of attack from Gaza. The rocket attacks also risk worsening the plight of Palestinian civilians in Gaza, which is already, of course, a precarious situation. Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza should cease attacks against Israel immediately, and I call on those in the region with influence over Hamas to use that influence to bring about an end to the attacks.
The United States government emphasized that it is in close contact with the Israeli authorities and also with the Egyptian government with a view to seeing how the current wave of violence can be promptly ended.
This is violence instigated by Hamas. We have, as we've said very clearly in our statement yesterday, that we extend our sympathies to the victims, innocent Israeli and Palestinian civilians that have been affected by this violence. But let's be very clear when the onus lies.
United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon spoke to the leaders of both Israel and Egypt and reaffirmed his support for Israel's right to defend itself, but said that he hopes the Jewish state's response will be proportionate and in keeping with international law.
In his call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the Secretary-General reiterated his strong condemnation of rocket fire out of Gaza and noted his expectation that Israeli reactions are measured so as not to provoke a new cycle of bloodshed that could cause additional civilian casualties and have dangerous spillover effects in the region.
Former British Prime Minister and international Middle East envoy Tony Blair offered his assessment of the situation, commenting that while he fully understands Israel's actions, the conflict needs to be rapidly de-escalated by both sides.
Well, the fact is, if rockets are fired out of Gaza and targeting Israeli civilians, then the government of Israel is going to take action. And the difficulty now is, look, there is a whole set of issues to do with Gaza that need to be resolved, to do with the blockade and the position of people in Gaza and the peace process and so on. All of these issues need to be resolved. But the short-term thing that needs to happen is that all of it is de-escalated back down, and that means that the rockets stop, because if the rockets carry on, the Israeli airstrikes will carry on, and what happens, as we've seen, is that in that there will be innocent Israeli civilians killed, innocent Palestinian civilians killed.
Israel launched its offensive on Wednesday, killing the head of Hamas's militant wing in the Gaza Strip and destroying dozens of rocket launchers. Hamas has responded with a new wave of rocket attacks into the Jewish state, forcing millions of Israelis to abandon their daily routines in order to remain within seconds of bomb shelters.